Good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 4th day of May 2020. Well, I hope everybody had a good weekend. Hope you stayed home, or if you had to go out, that you were safe and protected, wearing a mask and gloves, social distancing 6 feet at least. I think that we're going to find out that that's probably not enough, but, I suppose if you've got some protection on, then, it might be okay. But if somebody's coughing or sneezing, I'd back up even further. At least that's what I'm going to do. I know my husband will too. Speaking of whom, our wedding anniversary is tomorrow. We will be married 41 years. Needless to say, it's the only marriage we've had. So that's a long time. Not many people do that anymore, I don't think. Oftentimes you've got more than one marriage under your belt by the time you get to be my age. So I know when my kids were growing up, we were the oddity. When they got to college, most of their friends, their parents were separated or divorced or remarried or some such thing, so there were blended families and all of that. Not so with ours, but so we'll be grilling something on the barbecue tomorrow. My husband made the barbecue sauce for it, so he's been doing that a lot lately, making barbecue sauces and rubs and things like that of his own. He'll get a recipe and then he'll change it up a little bit, and because sometimes it depends on what we have. If we don't have everything, then he'll use something else and come up with something really yummy. But anyway, let's take a look at the astrology for this morning. This is for 8 o'clock this morning. The moon is in the 5th house of Libra. We're going to be seeking peace and harmony today for the most part. Right now, in the 5th house, you want to get a little playful about all of it. Moon opposed Chiron. Let go of past hurts so they don't settle into the body today. Remember to, try to focus on good foods, not junk food if you can. I know right now it's difficult, isn't it? Maybe we're spending some money on comfort food instead of just, your basic necessities. Sometimes the comfort food isn't all that good for you. So just be aware, drink lots of water, keep things flushing through your system. If you've got some unsprayed dandelion leaves, dandelion growing out in your yard or something, go grab some leaves and pour some boiling water over it and create a nice tea to flush out your system, flush toxins from your system. I usually let it steep about 10 minutes or so. If I'm doing it in a cup, if I'm doing it at, say, a quart mason jar or a French press, then I'll usually fill the French press of the jar up maybe, a third of the way full with fresh herb, a little bit less with dried herb, and then let it steep for about 20 minutes covered. And then you'll have a really nice tea to flush it. If you've got any chickweed or cleavers, you could add that too, around the yard or something. Just make sure it's a place where nothing is sprayed. That doesn't happen on my property, but on most properties it does. So you look at things like that and you think, oh, weeds, no. Healing. Anyway, try to keep your thoughts lofty today and spiritually based so that you do everything in your power emotionally and intellectually, mind control wise, to help protect your immune system. Staying upset doesn't help your immune system. So, and staying worried, the stress of all of that taxes your immune system. So try to keep your thoughts positive. Seek a healing sense with others instead of, coming into conflict with them. Let's see, Sun's in the 12th house Taurus. We're going to be reflecting on structural or foundational concerns today. But conjunct Mercury, ideas are going to flow and confidence is high. And Mercury 12th house Taurus also, several things are in the 12th house right now. So you're going to be talking about self-reflection and, things like that, endings, the end of the matter, so to speak. But with Taurus, we're going to want to expand learning, but take wise counsel from somebody older or more experienced than you. Just be open to that today. One thing, I think there's some aspects with Neptune. There's Venus square Neptune, but maybe it was Neptune period. Yeah, okay. Neptune is square the ascendant. The ascendant's in Gemini right now. But situations and people might be confusing right now. You're going to want to guard against deception and things that maybe, until things are more clear. It could just simply be just a function of the moment. There might not be any deception going on. It's just maybe somebody's just out of sorts and, they're not really feeling like they can get it together, when you need them to. So it could just simply be that. But there's another one we'll talk about here in a minute, Mars, 9th house Aquarius. One of the things here, the ascendant's in Gemini and the midheaven is in Aquarius right now. And Mars trine the ascendant and also conjunct the midheaven. We're going to want to be careful with decisions we make today, especially if it has to do with career. You want to guard against any rash or superficial action. Because there could be more to the situation than you realize. And so something might seem great. So you might, impulsively say, oh yeah, let's go in this direction. When, upon reflection, you might realize later, ooh, I shouldn't have done that. So just kind of be aware. And unless you know for certain, I would just hold off. There's another, Jupiter is still conjunct Pluto. And that's important. We have the resolve, and Jupiter's very expansive, right? But it can get you in trouble depending, right? But right now we have the resolve to accomplish anything we like, but the whole idea, Pluto's very transformative. Right now it's in retrograde, and so we're going to be looking at transformation within. Maybe letting go of belief systems that really aren't serving us, such as the ones that make you think you can go out and about without any protection and be next to one another at these weird rallies that this isn't about personal sovereignty, and if it is for you, then I don't know. Go into meditation, access the soul, and change your heart. I don't know. People just want to survive this, and it's not a question of. I mean, it impacts personal sovereignty certainly, but some things do. It's called being an adult. You see things from a bigger perspective, if you're married and have kids, you have a family to think of, and it's not okay to endanger other people. It just isn't. So try to see it from that perspective. Saturn, 9th house Aquarius, think outside the box, and about spiritual beliefs and long held beliefs. In conjunct the North Node, you might be forced to change your life's direction now, or maybe your perceptions. So you can see how things are in flux for a lot of people. And so maybe you're okay with where you are, but maybe your partner isn't. Maybe your partner is having to reflect on things and reassess things, what they were believing. Maybe you're in a situation where you're not on the same page about social distancing and taking care of and protecting yourself and others. Maybe you're having to deal with that. I don't even know what I'd do if that were the case. We tend to catch one another when we kind of go into autopilot mode and we start to do something that is going to be risky, in terms of contamination. It's like, oh no, don't touch that without spraying it first, something like that. But if you happen to live with somebody that is totally opposed to any of this could be a really difficult time. I would hope that it all settles out along the lines of protecting everyone. Let's see. Oh, here, Neptune square the ascendant. Relationships could be, this is the other part of it. Relationships could be confusing and deception could be at the heart of it, but we don't know. It could simply be that someone is just having some struggles with what's going on, and you're sensing that lack of clarity within them, and So please don't make decisions today or for the foreseeable future until you're sure, till clarity returns for everybody concerned, okay? For everybody concerned. So let's see. Yeah, I mean, in terms of Pluto being in the eighth house Capricorn, we're looking for higher meaning right now, especially that given that it's in retrograde. We're searching for unity with others. That's really what's going on here. We want, and unfortunately, we're kind of two sides of the equation, protection or personal sovereignty. But either way, we seek unity with others, and that's either going to work for us or against us, right, if we do it wrong. So I guess that's it as far as the astrology goes. Pretty much the same as last week. We're really trying to focus on keeping things very clear in our minds before making decisions, and understanding that a lot of this is just about cycles, and what comes up is going to go down. And so, maybe we make decisions in the midpoint of the swing, not in terms of when we're, in extremes. So therefore, going and doing a biorhythm on you're going and finding a biorhythm site and doing a quick chart just to see where things are. If you're really needing to make some decisions, make sure that everybody is doing it at the proper time and not in the peak and the valley of the biorhythm of those sine waves. So when things are at either extreme, sometimes clarity is less. And if you get it when it's kind of coming down or going up, kind of the midpoint between, you usually make better decisions at that time. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started with the reading. And if this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you so much for coming by. And I'd love you to click subscribe. And do check out my blog over at Stepping Aside. I'm steppingaside.com. The Facebook thing, I don't know how much I'm going to be able to post for the next 30 days because I posted a cartoon from Twitter that Facebook didn't like. They may come back later and say, oops, we made a mistake like they did the last time, but now they're telling me I can't, what can I do? I can't post any ads or something. I don't know what that means. Maybe it has to do with my affiliate stuff. I don't know. But they're punishing me for doing that, and they removed it. So, and it wasn't anything, I didn't feel that it was anything wrong, but it was a political satire cartoon that described what's going on. So it was actually quite truthful, but they didn't like it. And so I might be in a little trouble over there. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But it's like a 30-day thing. So I won't be posting any more, probably much of anything there. I probably won't do any affiliate marketing over there anymore. I won't, I don't know what I'm going to do. I guess I'll probably post my blog posts and things I write, assuming they'll let me do that for over the next 30 days. If they don't, then I don't know. I know that we don't want to have a whole lot of misinformation, but at the same time, that's opinion and we can all have them. So I don't know. That's not the same thing. So I may get another thing. Their algorithm is pretty tight, and so it could just be that mine got caught up in it. But if not, then I'll have to make some decisions about going forward about Facebook. So I don't know. I'm not so sure about some of this. I think that well, it doesn't matter what I think. It just matters what I have to do. So anyway, let's go ahead and take our first 3 cards. And as if you've been here before, I take the 13th one each time for randomness sake. So let's get started. On this Monday, a 4-day, a day of structure and foundation. So we do Pentacles first, matching that. The 9, I love this card. The 9 of Pentacles. She's likely the queen, but at least a woman of means who is out in her garden. Maybe she's going to do a hunt. Maybe it's one of those sorts of things where the royal family goes out on a hunt with falcons and all of that. I don't know that they do that anymore, but at the very least, they used to do it, hundreds of years ago. That used to be the thing that they did. They went falcon hunting. Well, hunting with falcons. Well, here we have the World. We've been usually getting at least 1, if not 2, sometimes all 3 major arcana cards. This is 21st card of the major arcana, the last one. We come full circle with the world. In a sense, we go from endings with the 9 into catalytic presence with something new on the horizon with the 3 energy of the 21 here with the world. So it kind of feels like maybe a little bit of a progression there. We go from settled to a sense of completion, more so than with the 9, maybe. Because with the world, you know, you're beginning again, basically. So there's that. With the 9, there's just more of an ending. So something's coming to completion, or something is settling in, or something. Well, we have the Queen of Pentacles. So, yeah, I mean, we're talking about our foundation, particularly with the 4 today. So there's going to be some alignment there. We might need another card. I don't know. We'll see. Let me get some tea here. But we have a sense of well, I think that these 2 cards are very similar to one another. Obviously in the Suit of Pentacles. And let's see, where's my Kleenex? Kleenex. I'm trying hard not to touch my face. So when my nose itches, I'm going to use Kleenex to scratch it because I'm trying not to touch my face with my hands. I just do, you know. It's one of the hardest things to not do. I don't know. I used to bite my nails when I was a kid. And so it's just, I'm accustomed, right? So anyway. But here we're looking at plus I have allergies too, so that's part of it. But here we're looking at the Queen, basically. Settled in her garden, reflecting. The Queen of Pentacles shows the power of reflection. You have, here's the thing about the elements and the suits and all of that. You've got some that are considered masculine, some that are considered feminine, some that are active principles, some that are passive. Some are projective, some are receptive. So your fire and air signs are going to be active and projective and masculine, considered masculine, not in terms of gender though. And initiative, maybe you could say, initiating. And then you have receptiveness, or the negative, or the feminine side, the receptive aura versus the push aura. My husband is a Sagittarius. I'm a Libra, and I have an enveloping aura, a receptive aura. He has a push aura, and so it's just interesting. You know, I'm also empathic, and when I'm sitting down, if he's standing up, he tends to lean forward when he talks to me, particularly if he's making a point. So if he's ranting about something, not necessarily having to do with me or anything, just ranting, he'll lean, and I'll be like this because I feel that energy hitting me. Well, that's an example of someone's push energy hitting someone who has enveloping energy. So even if I weren't empathic, I would likely feel that. So it's just kind of interesting. Kind of check yourself and see if you don't experience the same. If you feel like you're kind of have a receptive aura about you, you're not a very, you know, in your face about things. Although I can be in your face about things, it's just that but underlying it's a receptive aura. And just see if there's other people in your life that are like that, and you're kind of like with, not because you're afraid of them, but just because it's like you naturally draw back because it's just, you just feel the push of their energy, of their aura, or their intention. But basically we're looking at let's see, 9 and 3 is 12. So we've got a 3 energy. So mind, body, spirit alignment. And realistically, that's what's happening here. She's just very settled. She's just very focused on tradition and home and hearth. She's has got abundance around her. It's like she's taking a stroll in the 9, isn't she? But here, as far as the Queen though, there's a little more authority about this. The nine, she's just enjoying her moment, that's all. But with the queen, you have a little more responsibility. So you could read this as taking time for yourself versus having some responsibility, but it surrounds the home and hearth aspect and practical aspect of our lives, the foundational aspect of our lives. That's, in a constant state of flux right now. We may be changing. There may be some restrictions that can be relaxed going forward. It doesn't really look like it, though. I would suspect that we've got at least another till June before we can really feel comfortable, and we may still need to go out and about wearing masks and gloves at that point, but we may be able to have a little more freedom of movement and to get together with people if we do it safely. Because in fairness, when a new virus comes up, you can draw some similar conclusions to it, but once you figure out, kind of which line it's in, it's like, okay, this line behaves this way and this seems to be doing the same. Well, we don't know. We don't know what the final outcome is after you recover, say. What's that going to be? Oh, there I went and did it again. That you don't know what the lungs or the damage that's going to be there, that the damage to the body. We don't know. Maybe nothing, maybe lots. I don't know. That's the point. It's the unknown aspect of it. It's not the invisible enemy. It's very real. We know what it is. It's just very small and it's very contagious. And we don't yet know what the effects are, but they're not invisible. They're there. We're learning, right? So we're talking about the foundational aspects of our life, all of the different mundane things that we need to be dealing with. Several things are in Taurus right now. Uranus is in Taurus. Let's see what else is in Taurus. Mercury's in Taurus, Sun's in Taurus. So our focus really is upon, the whole thing that we're dealing with. But the idea is, if we take a unified focus, then when all is said and done, there's our reward. We come full circle. Life begins again. Life renews, in other words. Whereas if we ignore what the doctors are saying, maybe we don't protect home and hearth. Maybe we don't end up with a settled life. Maybe we end up with a life that's got all kinds of complications now, all because we chose to go and do something that put everybody else at risk. The Dr. Burke's lady was interviewed. I have very mixed feelings about this woman, but she made a good point. And it was largely that, you may feel fine, but during that feeling fine period, you don't know you're sick, and you are. And you're transmitting it to people. You're extremely contagious during that time. And so if you don't know, that you are, and you're out there wandering about, you could be infecting people that, also, don't know they're at risk. If you reject that this is actually real, if you think that this is something that someone is trying to do to us, well, we might end up finding out, that it was. But right now, for the foreseeable future, till we can get on the other side of it and gain some control again, we're going to have to focus on issues of home and hearth and make that our priority. It's about surviving so that the next, group can go on, right? So that we can continue to survive and generations can continue to survive after us. That's the whole notion of Pentacles. That's part of it anyway, the traditionist side of it. The Othala side of it, where it's all about the collective. Even if it's just your own little collective at home, even if it's just you and one other person. But if you and your family, there is your little pentacles, your little primary collective, your source, your foundation, right? Your structure in your life. It's where you come back to when you get off work every day. It's where you are on the weekend with the family. That's your little place. And that's really what's happening right now. If we don't maintain that in a way that allows people to survive into the future, then the world looks very different. in the final analysis. Perhaps, you know, the wreath is broken, perhaps the lemnis gates are not there. The notion of cycles changes somehow into something that we don't understand and is less predictable. So, you know, again, depending on what we want to have happen, you know, we have to decide what side of the equation are we going to come down on? Are we going to come down on something that preserves the structure and foundation of our lives? And I'm not talking about the status quo here. I'm talking about just having mom and dad and the kids, or mom and the kids, or dad and the kids, whatever your family structure is, or no kids, whatever that structure is, just having one to come back to. That's all. So that we can work our way out of this. Let's take a look at it. The Elder Futhark rune and see what it has to say. Well, Isa, alignment. Isa is the 11th rune of the Elder Futhark, and it's one of the 3 Norn runes. We have Hagalaz, Nathis, and Isa. Hagalaz would be the witch rune, and that's going to be destruction within a fixed framework. It's just basically the way witches cast spells. Nathis is the friction within to manifest. That's the rune of the present. Hagalaz is the rune of the past. Or I'm sorry, Nathis is the rune of the future, not the present. Isa is the rune of the present moment. And so it's the rune of the static realm. And it's about that really transmuting ego into spirit. And you do that by aligning in spirit, not getting down in the muck with ego. All right. You don't do it from that standpoint. You raise your frequency. You align in source presence. You align in who you truly are. You align in higher self energies. All right. That's where you put your focus. And when you do that, ego is going to be like, remember me? And spirit's like, did I hear something? And the only way ego gets there is if ego gets better, right? And becomes more lofty and raises its vibration to match that of spirit. That's how you transmute, not the other way around. You don't go muck around in the mud with ego. You don't do that and go try to reason with it. No, you simply turn your attention away from it, back to who you are as spirit. Align there, live there, express from there, and ego's going to have to follow. It will just dissolve itself into the same way we dissolve back into source when we leave the body. We dissolve back in, right? Well, same way with ego. You want ego to dissolve back into spirit. And you're going to do that with Isa. Today's just a good day, given that it's a Monday and we're dealing with cycles. We're going to be trying to align anyway. The moon is all about, it's a moon day, basically. And so we're going to be trying to find a balance anyhow. With what's going on, so with our moods and everything. So again, how we do that matters. Oh, look at that. Well, and to match the energy of Isa and alignment, we have Vaya for our geomancy rune for today. I have not done this month's geomancy reading. I don't know if I'm going to. I may not, or I may. I don't know. We're already on the 4th, so we're already almost toward the end of the first week. So I may not do one this time. I'm also not going to do. I'm not going to do a monthly tarot reading either. I'm going to change up. I'm kind of in that mode where I'm reevaluating things of what I'm going to be doing on the blog and what's going to change going forward. And just where else I'm writing as well, that may also change, so I don't know. Just trying some different things. Let's see, Vaya is its complement is going to be populous, so imagine 2 dots all the way down. That would be following the group or going with the flow. Here we're going to blaze our own trail and chart our own path, our own new course. And it's one that is informed by spirit instead of by ego. So that's really the biggest difference, I think. And it's really, in my opinion, what ascension is all about. Because what ascension is really talking about is remembering who we are as spirit. Just remembering that raises the frequency, raises the vibration. And from there, maybe it softens your reactions to things. Maybe you're less reactionary. Maybe you take you have a greater viewpoint. You take a step back and you can see the bigger picture. And again, it's not about reaction as much as it is about creation. And unfortunately, when we spend all of our time in reaction, it's the ego that's doing the reacting. And so there's nothing that's truly clear about that. Whereas aligning in source presence, aligning in higher self, aligning in who we are, then we let go of the things that are of this earth, of this body, of this illusion. All of this look, everything here that we go through has been agreed upon, and sure, there's differences that happen. There's little subtleties and everything, but the overall choices that we made here before incarnating in happened within a soul group experience. And so, the people that populate our world are people that agreed to. And it's providing us with a landscape to learn from and to put together different choices and to see, okay, if I do this, what will that outcome be? And all of that information, if you will, goes back to the collective. As it's learned, it's stored within the Akashic record of the soul group. And so consequently, all I'm saying is if we proceed from the standpoint of spirit, which is how we originally, it was intended to be, something happened and we ended up having to be in this lower type of energy. And we had to come back into this when the planet went dormant for a while. We've been at this for far longer than what the history seems to show. Things that we think happened not all that long ago actually happened much further ago. And so we have these periods. The fall of man is not what we think. It's simply us losing our 12th dimension or whatever frequency it was, the highest dimension. And we lost it. Lots of people came here and did some things and reduced everything for us. And so eventually everything had to get going again, and after a period of dormancy. And so after that happened, then we got started again. Unfortunately, we weren't at the high level of frequency that we originally started at. And so now we're having to work our way back to that. That's the working our way back that we're doing, not so that we can know and love God, because everything is God. Everything is God's thought process expressed, or the Creator, or the Great Mother, whatever name you want to call all that is. It doesn't really matter to me what you call them, what you call it, but there is a source presence. There is the beginning energy, and everything is a reflection of that. So embodies all of that. So, I think that Vaya is really about the aligned path that we're on, whether we remember it or not. And with the pandemic, we have a chance to understand that alignment is necessary, that fundamental unity is necessary right now, so that we have a successful outcome, so that we have the joy and success and positivity that's brought by the world card. Whether you look at the world as the end of the life in the body, and then we're going to do it all over again, whether you look at it that way, or you look at it just in terms of we're now in this one particular cycle where we need to now move into something else. Well, we do. We need to drop the resistance. We need to drop the other imposed harshness and conflict that we seem to want to, and grievance-based interactions that people seem to want to have now, or at least some people do. Because here's the thing. If you're going to walk up to somebody and scream so that your picture is taken and it can go around the world, and you're screaming at somebody wearing a mask, you're screaming at a first responder, either a nurse or a doctor or a police officer or somebody, lawmaker, somebody who's trying to manage all of this, right? And to keep us all safe. If you're going to walk up to them and scream at them, then sweetie, you've lost. You've lost your way, and you're lost. Right there, that's indicative of a path that is so fragmented right now that it's going to be to our detriment if we cannot align together in a single-minded purpose here to get past this pandemic. If we can't simply agree that we need to do that, then those that are struggling with that are going to make it more difficult for the rest of us to survive. Do you understand? That's what this really is about. We have to survive this. If it ends up being that something nefarious caused it, well, okay, we'll deal with it later. Now, they're all saying that that's not the case, though. But whatever, we can table it. We can agree to disagree. We can agree to say, okay, one side's saying this, another side's saying this. We can agree to say we'll wait to find out for sure. We can agree to do that. But we also have to agree to get through this together. And then we can figure it out later. If it ends up being simply something that happened that, was not a bioweapon, wasn't any of those things, great. That's what we want. That's what we want it to be. All right? We don't want to think that somebody did this. But if we find out that they did, then we'll deal with it at that time. But right now, can we please table that? Whatever we all think about this, can we table that and focus on staying well? Okay? That's all that we're talking about here. We're talking Isa, align in spirit, let spirit inform. Spirit wants us to survive this experience. All right? That's all we're trying to say here. So, align in a single path, align in a unified path. We can argue about it later. Let's not do it right now. Let's just get out of it together. And then we can have whatever conversation, that you want to have. But governors of states that are keeping people on lockdown, or some semblance of it, because it's not total, but some semblance of lockdown, they're doing it so that we survive this. Not because they want to destroy your freedom so that you can't get a haircut. Or you can't go to the beach. Beach will be there. Your loved ones may not. So that's really what we're talking about here. So we can align on the same path going forward and get out of this. Or we can remain in confusion and doubt and because when that happens, cruelty wins, doesn't it? Yeah. So in any event, that's it. I guess that's it for today. Again, check out the blog. I will, oh God. See, I can't do it. I'm trying though, really, really hard. But again, check out the blog over at Stepping Aside. I'm steppingaside.com, and stuff goes up pretty much every day. I do write over on Medium. I have a Patreon account, which may or may not continue. I don't know. I'm going to think about that. I did it just to see. And right now it feels more like a burden than it does anything else. I'm writing in too many places, and I'm cross-publishing, and then the blog doesn't get taken care of. So you see, it's just one of those things. I think when you have a blog, I suppose it's one thing if you don't have any other place to write. You want to write on Medium, or you want to write on Patreon or some other paid site or whatever. Yeah, I get that. But when you have a blog too, it's almost like you're spreading yourself out too much. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I like to feel like I have something purposeful happening. And so if I feel like there's no purpose involved, then I tend to hang on to things too long though. And that's something I'm trying to not do. Only I don't want to, again, like it's said in the astrology, don't make rash decisions. So it's like, okay, I won't make rash impulsive decisions. So I'll wait a little while longer before making any. So who knows? In any event, come back tomorrow, click subscribe again. I'd love you to do that. And we'll chat again. And be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.